Good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful evening? We at the point of over the hump day, and I hope that you all are getting over the hump with your brother Tony. Come on to the dinner table, my brothers. Come on to the dinner table, my sisters. Come on in, my extended family and friends. Come on in, come on in. You know that we have plenty of room at the dinner table, and we always have something good on the menu. I hope that you come in, and I hope that your soul is thirsting for some of this good soul food that's good for your soul. If this is your first time being at the dinner table, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I talk about relationships. I talk about relationships basically from a spiritual point of view. When I say spiritual, I strongly believe when you go to the book of Genesis, God had a unique relationship with the man Adam. Second, he had a unique relationship with the woman Eve. Thirdly, God represented the woman to the man Adam, and in the presence of God, Adam said, "Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I should call a woman because she came from man." That's the type of relationship I talk about, my brother and sister. That's the type of relationship that I strongly believe in. Now, if you have some type of alternative relationship, you have what is called a free will. You can do whatever you choose to do. But if you listen to um, this conversation that I have at the dinner table is basically about the relationship between that of a man and a woman. How you doing, Sister Flo Harvey Martin? Welcome to the dinner table. And come on in, you rest of you brothers and sisters, and go ahead and invite some more family members and friends because they need to look at what's on the menu so they can get some of this good soul food that's good for the soul. I would like to tell you, brother and sister, that I'm on two different platforms this evening. I'm on the book and I'm on the tube. If you're on the tube, some people on the book may make some comments. You may not see their comments, and vice versa. Those of you that are on the book, some people that are on the tube, you may not see their comments, but we're all family here. So come on in, brothers. Come on in, sisters, so we can get down uh, and feast on what's good on this menu. If you look at the menu for tonight, my brother and sister, I hope that you're ready for it because we got something good that got cooked up this evening. As a matter of fact, I gave you all a taste of it last night. So, what's on the menu for tonight? What's on the menu for tonight, my brother and sister, is can being in a rebound relationship be good for you? Again, can being in a rebound relationship be good for you? How you doing, Sister Tierra? Welcome to the dinner table tonight. Now, there are so many men and women that have experienced a rebound relationship. There are so many men and women that are currently in a rebound relationship. But the question that we need to answer by the time we push ourselves away from the dinner table, is it good for you? That's what we need to understand. Is it good for you to get in a rebound relationship? Now, we know when we look at relationship, most women are romantic. You know, most women are romantic, and then there are some men that try to be romantic, okay? But men and women approach relationship from two different viewpoints, okay? Sister Flo said, rebound relationship not good for me. Amen, sister. Now, most when it comes to love, when it comes to love, it's a big thing that called the heart, right? And we're not talking about this heart that pump blood. You see, when most people say I feel it in my heart and they point right at their chest cavity, this is not the real heart what we're talking about. The purpose of this heart is to pump blood. But the real heart of a man and a woman is the part of their soul. The real man and the real woman, because we all know that the soul is composed of what? The mind, the will, and the emotion. The emotional part of the soul is the heart, not just what pump blood and water. So blood. We got to get this clear, my brother and sister. And when we say mind, we're not talking about the brain. We're talking about the mind, not the brain. We're talking about the emotions, which is from the heart. Okay. So we're talking about the heart. Okay. Now, when we look in Jeremiah 17:9, again at Jeremiah 17:9, Jeremiah 17:9 from the Old Testament, the Bible, it says a lot about the heart, but specifically in Jeremiah 17:9, this is what it say. It said that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Listen to this again. What God's words say about the heart of man or woman. It said that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? The only way a heart can be not deceitful and desperately wicked, excuse me, that's when that man or woman turn their life to God. Okay, that's the only way you can have your heart uh, regenerated, trans transform is when you turn your heart to God. But outside of that, most relationship, my brother and sister, do not bring God into the relationship. Most relationships do not, and I have said that before, and you're going to hear me say that over and over again. As long as I got breath in my body, most relationships do not start or add the Lord into the relationship. There are only a few men and women that will bring the Lord into their relationship, and they normally will try to bring the Lord in a relationship at the onset of the birth of the relationship. So, with that said, my brother and sister, just think about this. Here's a question, my brother and sister. If you have jumped hard first into a relationship and not head first in a relationship with another man or another woman after a recent breakup, you have basically jumped into a rebound relationship. That's what we're talking about at the dinner table tonight. Okay. Can being in a rebound relationship be good for you? Now, just think about it, my brother and sister. Some of you have done this. Some of you are currently in this type of relationship. And what you jump into a relationship with your heart first without following your mind with another man or another woman, and you have recently basically broken up with another man or a woman, and you didn't jump heart first into a relationship. What did I say about the heart? Jeremiah 17:9, it said the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So a lot of brothers, Nano said, yeah, a lot of brothers and a lot of sisters called. This is who I mostly talk to, have made that mistake. They were going by the flesh and they decided to jump into another relationship as a form of trying to cover up something. So, like what most people do in a rebound relationship, it's a band-aid situation or it's a bridge over troubled water situation. Now, the rebound relationship, my brother and sister, is clearly defined as when the person enter into a new closely followed relationship after previously breaking up in another relationship. Again, it is defined as when the person enters into a new one closely following the breakup of a previous relationship. Now, according my brother and according my sister to couple therapists, uh Keandra Jackson, this is what Keandra Jackson stated. She stated that rebound relationships tend to be short, temporary, mainly enter into as a way for someone to cope with a recent breakup. That's how it normally happens. And let me give you let me tell you something, my brother and sister, about me. Many years ago, many years ago, when I was young, I know what it was like to be in a rebound relationship, and this is what happened. The relationship that I was in at that particular time, um, I was going through a divorce. Okay, I was going through a divorce, at that particular time. And when I was going through a divorce at that particular time, my brother and sister, I still was thinking about that particular person. Okay, that's what I was still thinking about. I was thinking about that particular person, and my heart was still there for that particular person. And so I can remember, my brothers and sisters, I wanted that relationship to be restored so badly, whereas it it caused me to lose weight. It interrupted my sleep. My every thought, mostly all my every thought was somewhere else on that particular individual, right? But I had to cope through it. I had to work through it, and I tried to get through it. Some of my friends, they would say things like, "Hey, you need to get over it, and you need to move on." And some people philosophy is, how do you get over a relationship? You get into another one. That's some people philosophy. And let me tell you this, my brother and sister, women have more support than men do. So a woman, she can go cry to her family and friend, and they be very supportive. But most of the time, men do not have a good support system when it comes to a recent breakup. Now, if a man turn towards his friends, most of the time his friends will listen to him. Short-lived though, because most men think like this: go ahead and get over it. Go ahead and get over it. And there's plenty of women out there. That's the philosophy of some men. I'm telling you, my brother. So that's the philosophy of some men. Just get over her and get with someone else. But back to my personal experience, when I did not want that relationship to end at that particular time. So as I stated, I lost a lot of weight. It interfered with my sleep, and I felt myself being emotional sometimes. Like I told some of you brothers and sisters, men cry in the dark. Does that mean that a man is soft when he cries? No, it doesn't mean that a man is soft when he cries. But a lot of time, men are not going to weep in front of nobody else. As a matter of fact, my brother and sister, the Bible clearly said that Jesus wept. Yeah, Jesus was God, all God, and he was 100% man too. So you had Jesus on earth, and the shorter verse in the Bible said Jesus wept. So if Jesus wept, I can weep. And any man, but brothers don't go around crying all the time. Okay, that's the problem. You going around boohooing all the time. You don't do that now. But men do sometimes cry in the dark. So, and I can remember sitting at the my aunt's dinner table one time, and I was so hungry, my brother and sister. I was so hungry, and some of you have probably heard it before. Whereas the plate was filled up, I got my fork and I dipped it into some food. I ate it 1 teaspoon, and I pushed the plate away. I actually pushed that plate away, and my aunt said, "Baby, you need to eat something." But you know, that how I was at that particular time. And let me tell you what happened. So I was still thinking about this other woman. I was still feeling the other woman. So I decided to start dating. So when I dated this one particular lady, she was cool. Okay, she was very cool. I mean, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing bad I could say about the woman. She was cool. So when I picked the lady up, guess who I was thinking about? You bet you believe I would think about that other woman, and we went out, and while we were sitting there, we was having a good time. I was going through the motion. Guess who I was thinking about? You know it. So we ended up over to the lady's house after I had took her home, and she invited me in for basically a nightcap, right? So when we went into her place, she disrobed. What I mean that she disrobed the clothes that she was in when we went out. She got into something more comfortable attire for the bed. And it looked good what she had on now, my brother and sister. I'm not going to say that it didn't look good what she had on. So when she got in her bed, and I was sitting up in the chair right by her bed, and she said, "Why don't you get comfortable and you could come get in the bed with me?" So I already knew what that meant when she invited me in her bed, right? But I had to process in my mind, even though the woman that my mind and heart was on, I still did not feel like I need to be in the bed with that other woman. You know what I mean? At that particular time, I did not. And that was a whack situation because the lady, she had gone on with her life, right? But I was still thinking about her. So the thing about it is, I did not really want to string that woman along because if I would have went on and did that kind of stuff, like when you get physical possible with someone, then that's when a whole bunch of things change. Because once you cross over and do some physical things, which was wrong, would have been wrong anyway, because the Lord only wants you to be physical with your spouse. You know what I mean? So by doing that, it wouldn't have been my spouse. You know what I mean? So anyway, I did not get in there, but I did think about it. But I said if I got in that bed with that woman, I already knew what she wanted to do. So I just said, no, I'm good. I'm good. The reason why I was good because my mind was still somewhere else. So have you ever, my brother, have you ever, my sister, entered into a relationship with a new man or a new woman, but every thought that you had was on the other side of town, and your heart was yearning for that someone that you had broken up with, and you are somewhat hoping that you can maybe, just maybe, just maybe, just maybe, that you can get back with that person. Some of you can identify what I'm talking about. Some of you have walked that road before. You have walked in that particular valley. Some of you are walking through that valley right now. And let me tell you this, my brother, sister, when you be with someone else after a recent breakup and you really was really into a real heartfelt relationship with someone else, and now you with another person, you will have a feeling of guilt sometimes. You could feel guilty being with someone else that was not the other person, even though that person was gone. Even though your ex was gone, my brother and sister, with his or her life without you. Now, some of you can identify with what I'm talking about. Now, back to the other question. Can being in a rebound relationship be good for you? My brother and sister, I must say this right now. When you fresh out of a relationship, it's not wise to jump right into another relationship with another man or another woman because that man and woman, they're innocent. You understand it, my brother and sister? So you got to understand it, my brother and sister. Listen to your brother Tom tonight. If you are fresh out of a relationship, or even if you've been out of a relationship for a time and you still think about that other man, or you still think about that other woman that you have broken up with, it's my recommendation, do not get into another relationship with another man or another woman because you still have that other person in you. And it's not fair for that other person that's coming behind the person that you just broken up with. And a lot of time, my brother and sister, when you fresh out of a relationship, a lot of time you don't realize it, but subconsciously you are looking for traits of that person that you just got out of a relationship with, even though it's two, there are no two people the same, and it's very unfair to tie someone else into a relationship like that, my brother and sister. You know what I mean? It's very unfair. Let me tell you that, my brother and sister. The reason why it's unfair, because if you get into a rebound relationship, brother, with a woman, or sister, you get in a rebound relationship with a man or that woman, they could really start growing in love with you. They could start growing in love with you. They could want to be with you. They could see a future with you, but yet you still holding on to someone else. And it's very, very unfair to that person to do that. Why is it unfair? Because brother, and sister, that your mind and your heart is not there with that person. Most of the time, to tell you the truth, my brother and sister, after a rebound situation, you're looking, like I said, you're looking for a band-aid or you're looking for a bridge over troubled water. And most of the time, the relationship that comes right after the relationship that you have broken up with a person, that relationship, it really doesn't last that long anyway. That's why I call it a band-aid or a bridge over troubled water. And going back to what this couple therapist, because Keosandra Jackson, she stated this, and you all know this, and it's very true. She stated again that rebound relationships tend to be short, temporary, and mainly enter into as a way for someone to cope with a recent breakup. So most of the time, though, rebound relationship, you are trying to find comfort. That's all you're trying to do. And if you don't know that, if you this type of person right now, that's what you're doing right now. If you're with a man or woman and you know within yourself that you're not ready to get in no serious, committed, and covenant relationship with this other person, but yet you're gonna bring that person in, and you're gonna more than likely hurt that man or woman, and vice versa. My brother and sister, you single brother and you single sister, if you meet a man, sister, or brother, if you meet a woman that's fresh out of a relationship, my recommendation to you is do not get into no full-fledged relationship with that man or woman. And when they just come out of a relationship, do not do it. You know why? Because you may be the one that fall head. You may be the one that trip into this thing called love, sister, with this man, or brother. You can trip into a relationship with this woman and you call it love. But that man and woman, they're not there with you. You understand? And you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, brother and sister, too. Let me be honest with you. I'm gonna be totally honest, and you know I want to be transparent. And I have been on that side of the equation too. I have been on the side where I was driving the car of rebounding, and I could have hurt this woman, but I pulled myself out of it. Now I was in another situation where this woman, she said she had got a divorce, okay? And this many years ago, you got to understand it, my brother and sister, this was many, many years ago. This was not when your brother Tony, when he started maturing in the Lord and stuff. This is in my infancy, okay? So that was this young lady. She was said that she was her and her husband had broken up. That's what she told me. She said they had broken up. 'Cause I want to know. She said they had broken up and they going through a divorce, right? So the lady and I, we started kicking it, and we would go out and everything. It was wrong. Let me put it this way. It was wrong because she was not completely out of that. She said she was going through a divorce. Now remember what I say, my brother and sister, I was doing this uh I was ignorant, I was younger when I did this, but I did it. It was wrong. But she gave me the heads, so she said they were going through divorce. So anyway, long story short, the young lady and I started really getting into her. Okay, I started really getting into her, and we used to do a lot of things together. And I started really having some feeling towards the woman. Okay, we were doing everything. We even got to the point where I was thinking about possibly she was going to be the one, right? That's what I was probably thinking. So let me tell you this. One day, I invited her to go to worship with me, right? So normally she would answer the phone. So this particular day when I called her, she did not answer the phone. I kept calling and calling and calling, and there was no response. No response whatsoever. So I'm wondering what happened. I had just seen her the night before, and I want to know why she not answering the phone. You know, I was thinking that something was wrong and everything. But long story short, guess what happened? Her and her husband, they decided to reconcile. You understand? So if they decided to reconcile, my brother and sister, it would not just I was with her that Saturday, and then that Sunday she had been talking with him, and I didn't know it. So guess what? I was, my feelings were messing with me, right? When she told me that they were going to try to work it out again. So I'm telling you this, my brother and sister, listen to me. I have experience being in the driver's seat on that, and I have experience being on the passenger side. Rebound relationships are not no good. They're not no good. When you, brother, and you, sister, decide to get in a relationship with someone, if it's you and you the one who fresh out of relationship, do not get in a relationship with no one until you got that person completely out of your system. Completely out of your system. And do not get involved with no other man or woman unless he or she have completely gotten that man or woman out of system. And I'm going to give you a key point. If you decide to begin a relationship with someone that fresh out of relationship, if they continue to talk about that person that they were just fresh out of relationship with, or it could be a time, if they talk so much about their exes and everything, do not go down that road with them, because they haven't gotten over that person. And it could be years and years and years, and that man and woman still tied. They are still tied to their ex. Do not do it. Do not do it. Because in that, you don't know, my brother and sister, they may be waiting for that one phone call for their mate saying, let's try to work it out. You don't never know. So I'm telling you, my brother and sister, do not ever get into no rebound situation when it comes to no relationship. It's not good for you, brother and sister, to do that to another man or woman, and it's not good for another man or woman to do it to you. You have to be objective, because let me tell you this, my brother and sister, if you have, first of all, if you have gotten in a relationship with a man and a woman, the question is, did you ask God, is it okay to enter into a relationship with a man or woman? That's the first thing a man and a woman need to do. You need to ask God, is that the person that he wants in your life? Because you don't know, my brother, you don't know, my sister, you can't read no other man or woman heart. You can't do it. You know what I mean? You can't read that man or woman's heart. So it's best for you to inquire of God through his son, Jesus Christ. Now, since we're talking about the rebound, let me go to God's word. Let me go to God's word. And we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 10 through 16. Again, this 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10 through 16. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 10 through 16. And this is what God's word say. Paul is writing to the Corinthians. And listen to what Paul said. He said, and unto the married, the men and women that are married, Paul said, unto the married, I command, yet not I, but the Lord. So Paul saying to the married, he directed it to married people. He said, yet not I, but the Lord. So the Lord told Paul something specific to tell these married people, not people that are free agent, married people. Let not the wife depart from her husband. Now, Paul was talking to Christians. He was not talking to worldly men and women. He was specifically talking to Christian men and Christian women that are married. He said, let not the wife depart from her husband. And if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest, I, not the Lord, said. So the Lord permitted Paul to say something. And this is what the Lord permitted Paul to say. If any brother has a wife who does not believe, and she is willing to live with him, let him not divorce her. And the woman which has an husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Now, what is this talking about? this could be a case where a man gets saved. Him and his woman, they didn't got married, right? And now the Lord have opened up this man's eyes, right? And now he see the woman that he got married to, she's unsaved. Don't you know, my brother and sister, that different people turn to the Lord at different times? But you see, the question about this means that some men or some women, they get married without the Lord. But once one of them discover the Lord, where the Lord knock on one of their hearts and one respond to it. So we're talking about the man first. It say, any brother have a wife who does not believe. So, brother, that means that if you get saved and your wife is not saved, but she's still willing to live with you, you can't divorce her. Just because you got saved, you cannot divorce her, because both of you all got into a marriage without the Lord from the beginning. But now you saved and she not. But overall, the only reason you want to divorce her because she's not a Christian. You can't do that. And then it goes on to the woman, and the woman which has a husband that believe not, and he be pleased to dwell with her, she can't leave him. That means if you got married to a man and both of you all did not go to the Lord, and now you saved, and your husband not saved, you can't walk away from him. You can't say because you're not saved, I'm going to walk away. You can't do that because you messed up from the beginning when both of you all did not go to the Lord at the beginning. And now it say, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. That you hear what it say? It said, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. What does that mean? It means that because you are in that situation, my brother and sister, the Lord clean your relationship. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. How you doing, Sister Teresa? Toomer, welcome to the dinner table. How you doing, Sister Cheryl Smith? Welcome to the dinner table. So the Lord does it. So any of you brothers and sisters that got saved after you got married, you can't just, brother, you just can't divorce her because you saved now. And sister, you can't just divorce him because you saved. I mean, yeah, you saved because the Lord still sanctify both of you all. And it goes on to this, and it said, else were your children unclean, but now they are holy. Some kind of way the Lord still make it so, brother. If you got married to a woman and you got saved after the fact, sister, if you got married to a man and you got saved after the fact, when the Lord make you, brother, he make you he worked through you to sanctify your wife, and sister, he worked through you to sanctify your husband. Because it goes on to say, else were your children unclean, but now they are holy. You see what the Lord did? Because of your ignorance, my brother, because of your ignorance, my sister. And I understand, I have done some ignorant thing too. That don't mean that you're stupid. You just, ignorant mean lack of knowledge on something. You know what I mean? So that's what it means. But if the unbelieving depart, now here's the key thing, my brother and sister. This is the key thing. For those of you that are Christian, and that person that you're in a relationship with decide to leave you, Paul is about to address this. He said, but if the unbeliever depart, let him depart. See what they say? It clearly say, if the unbeliever depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such a case, but God has called us to peace. What does that mean? That means, brother and sister, you're a Christian. Brother, your wife is an unbeliever. Sister, your husband is an unbeliever. Brother, your wife decide to depart, leave you. Sister, you're a Christian, your husband decide to leave you. The key thing is that man is an unbeliever, sister, you're a Christian, and brother, that woman is an unbeliever, but you're a Christian. The Bible clearly say, if they depart, let him depart. It say a brother or sister is not under bondage in such a case, but God has called us to peace. For how do you know, O wife, whether you will save your husband? Or how do you know, O husband, whether you will save your wife? So what is the Lord saying through Paul? Brother, if you become saved, sister, if you become saved and both of you are married, brother, you don't know whether your lifestyle will influence your wife to get saved. And vice versa, sister, your actions, your words and your act, you don't know whether your words and action will influence your husband to be saved. Because you got to understand it, my brother and sister, the Lord wants everyone to be saved. Now, that passage that I just have read to you, my brother and sister, that address married people. It does not address people that going together. It address married people. Now, to the single people, my brother and sister, as I always say, my brother and sister, the single people, you, brother, if you have not said I do to that woman, you're not married to her. Before the Lord, you're not married to her. Sister, if you have not said I do to that man before the Lord and got this thing right, that's the key thing, got it right, you are not married to that man. So let me tell you, my brother and sister, listen to me carefully. If you're not engaged, you are not in a bona fide relationship before God. If you're not engaged, moving towards getting married, I put it that way, moving towards getting married. Or if you don't have to actually be engaged, you could just go ahead and get married. If you're not engaged, if you're not married, before God, you're not no couple. Listen to what I'm saying. If you're not, you see, when you get engaged before God, God look at you are getting prepared to get married because you're betrothed. We're talking about God. We're not talking about your family, your friends, your co-workers, or social media. We're talking about God. God look at it when you, brother, and you, sister, are serious and you commit and you move towards the covenant relationship. That's the only relationship God identify between a man and a woman. And when you're engaged, God still don't want you to get physical with that man or woman. God don't want you to test drive, okay? God don't want you to get physical until you say I do. You understand? Once you say I do, you could do all the physical activity all you want to. Now, I'm not going to be no hypocrite. I know I was doing the opposite before I got married. You know, I was wilding out, and a whole bunch of you have heard my story before. I was wilding out. Okay, so I'm not trying to play holier than thou. I'm not no better than none of you brothers and sisters, but I'm here to tell you because I have walked down that valley before, but now I'm walking on the mountaintop. You know what I mean? So, my brother and so my sister, if you're single, don't fool yourself. That's why a lot of you brothers and sisters that are single, when the man and woman bounce on you and go somewhere else, you be so heartbroken and everything. You know why? Because you allowed yourself to get into that situation. That man or woman did not hold no gun to your head. That man or woman did not hold no knife to your throat. You decided to enter into a relationship. That's why at the beginning of a relationship, I have told you, brother and sister, over and over again, do not get into a relationship unless you don't go dating just to go out for fun. You go out to date. That's an interview. That's an interview. You can have fun while you're interviewing, but that's an interview. And the interview is, do you see that man or woman being in your future? And when I say a future, I mean, do you see that man or woman that you can see being married to that person? And I'm talking from God perspective. I'm not talking from tonal perspective. I'm talking about God perspective. God don't want you playing in a relationship. He doesn't want you. Brother, you can have a purpose in your life, but if you're not serious with this woman, you're not doing it God's way. How can you, brother, try to do it God's way, but you stringing a woman along? Or sister, how can you do it God's way and you stringing a man along? It shouldn't be that way. Which goes back to, can being in a rebound relationship be good for you? If you're single, it's not a rebound relationship. It's just a relationship where you are not wasting your time with the other person no more. Yes, it may hurt. Yes, it's gonna hurt because you invested your time and your emotion into that person, and that person decide to bounce, or you decide to bounce, and yes, you hurt. But you will not, before God, and no, you will not married, and prior to that, you were not engaged. So how did God look at that relationship? Let me tell you how he looked at my relationship before I got married. Whatever I did with a woman, it was okay to go out with the woman, but God didn't want no fornication. It was okay to do that. But you see what? I fornicated. So God did not like me fornicating. I was not married at that time. Like a lot of you're fornicating right now. Yeah, you know, some of you ain't got to raise your hand. Some of you are. Some of you out there fornicating, like I used to do. You see, I raised my hand up because I admit that I did wrong. But can you admit that you did wrong, my brother and sister? You ain't got to raise your hand, but can you admit that you did wrong? The only way you're going to get it right is with God. God don't want you getting no rebound relationship. That's why when it comes to a rebound, when we go back to God's word, Paul specifically talked to married people. Paul addressed the limit, how far you can go in a relationship. That depends on if it's two Christians that are married. Paul talked about two Christians and reconciling. Even if the man and woman per se separate, Paul said reconcile. And that came directly from the Lord. But in the other situation, the two people are married, you got one that's a believer and one that's an unbeliever. If the unbeliever want to stay with you, brother, that woman, you can't divorce her. Because you got the light after you married the woman. And sister, the same thing. You can't walk away from that man because you got the light after you marry him. Because the Bible clearly say, for how do you know a wife? It didn't say, oh, girlfriend. Said, how do you know a wife whether you will save your husband? Or how do you know a husband? It didn't say, oh, boyfriend, whether you will save your wife. It didn't say your girlfriend. So Paul specifically talked about marriage. You see, it's something, my brother and sister, about a relationship when you do it God's way. Now, when it comes to a rebound, especially if you're married, you see, the thing about, especially when you're married, and some of you brothers and sisters know it because some of you brothers and sisters, you have been divorced, and some of you all know once you have been with the person for X amount of time. Now you got a divorce. That's right, so Teresa, we're not teaching that sex is for marriage on. Amen, sister. So, brothers and sisters, let me tell you this: rebounding is not good, especially if you are fresh out of a marriage. Brother and sister, you have so many things to untangle if you've been married. Even though if you're single and you break up, quote unquote break up, it may hurt. But especially when you married, my brother and sister, called marriage, it's more deeper. It's a more deeper type of relationship. So, and you have to be careful what type of relationship you get in when you're married, transitioning from being married to not being married no more. So, sister and brother, let me tell you this. If you decide to date someone that's fresh out of relationship, let's say that man and woman was married. What you need to know whether or not that man Sister, you need to know whether that man, wife, and him was Christian. That's the first thing you need to know. You need to find out why they got divorced. That's what you need to know. Brother, if you start dating a woman that's fresh out of a relationship and she was married, you need to find out were her and her husband married. I mean, not married, but was her and her husband Christians? You need to find out that very important. Why did I say that? Because brother and sister, if you trying to date somebody that been married, remember it said, but the Lord said, and we're talking about Christians, if that man or woman depart and they Christian, you can't bother them. You can't bother them. Because they still tied up in the Lord's mind, they still tied up. Now, this is a different thing. This is a different situation. Now, if the man is a Christian sister and the woman is an unbelieving woman, and you're a Christian sister now, you're a Christian. The man is a Christian. His wife was not a Christian, but she left him. That's a whole nother ball game. And the thing too, sister, let me tell you this, brother. Brother, you married to brother, you interested in this woman. Her husband was not a believer, but she was a believer. And he decided to go. What did the Bible say? It say, and the woman which has a husband that believe not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave. Okay, that's for the believer. If they decide to stay, and the unbeliever husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Now we're going to go back a little bit. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried. That is, if it's a Christian woman, if she decide to separate, she got to stay unmarried. That means you sisters, let me put something out here. Brothers and sisters, and this happened a whole bunch. Brothers and sisters, now we talk about Christian brothers and sisters. If you separate from your mate, that doesn't mean, brother, you're supposed to go get a girlfriend. Sister, that doesn't mean you're supposed to get a boyfriend. That's the time when a lot of people get this girlfriend and boyfriend when they be separated from their spouses. And you know I'm telling the truth, my brother and sister. You know I'm telling the truth. That's why you have to find out what type of relationship they had with the Lord. I don't know how clear I can get. And let me put this part in. But if the unbeliever depart, let him depart. That goes for an unbelieving woman too. That's the key thing, my brother and sister. That's why you have to ask the question. Sister, if it were you, if this man is a Christian, you need to, you don't want to ask him this question, but you have to ask him because your soul is at stake. You need to ask this man, sister, if you're a Christian and this man a Christian, why did his wife leave? The question is not because infidelity and all that kind of stuff. It's a little more deeper. Was your wife a Christian when she decided to leave? That's that's the bottom line. Sir, if you're a Christian, right, sir? Yes, I am. Was your wife a Christian or is she a Christian? Yes, she is a Christian. I can't bother you because the Lord got it where the Lord said, let not the wife depart from her husband. So, sister, what you're looking at is y'all just separated. That's it. Y'all separated. I can't bother you. I'm not gonna risk my soul going to hell because you a Christian and your wife a Christian. I'm not gonna put my soul in jeopardy. And the same thing too, brother. If when you ask this woman, you a Christian? Yes, I'm a Christian. Was your husband a Christian? Yes, he is a Christian. I can't bother you. I'm not gonna let my soul bust in hell because of you. You plainly said that you're a Christian and you say your husband's a Christian. I can't go for that. You all remember that song by hauling oats. I can't go for that. No, no can do. That's what you said. I can't. You know what, to make it easier, play before you ask that man's sister or brother, before you ask that woman, have a recording. When you have that, just had that recording set and just hit the button and say, and then let Hall and Oates say, I can't go for that. No, no can do. I can't go for that. You all remember that song in the 80s, right? I can't go for that by Hall and Oates. Y'all remember that song? I can't go for that. So remember that I can't go for that. When it comes to a rebound relationship, my brother and sister, which is defined as short, temporary, and mainly enter into as a way for someone to cope with a recent relationship. You don't want to get in a relationship for a band-aid reason or a bridge over troubled water. When you get in a relationship, you're looking for the future. You're not looking for the here and now. You're looking for the future. I hope you, brother and sister, got something out of this dinner tonight. I hope that I help you. But let me tell you, rebound relationship, if that person tired of someone, I gave you all type of illustrations. Do be very leery about getting in a relationship with someone fresh out of relationship, or they could be out of relationship for years but still clinging on to that person that left them. Because guess what? You don't know whether they waiting for that phone call. You don't know what they waiting for that text. You don't know. But if you get into a rebound situation, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you. So don't do it. I love you, brothers. I love you, sisters. I hope that you enjoyed this food for the night. I told you I was gonna bring it to you from last night's show. I brought it to you. I hope that you got some out of it. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. By the way, let me say something. I told you all about this person called Chill Forgiver that sent me this camera set. And you seen, because last night I used it and tonight I'm using it. And it sure look clear on my end. Guess what she did? She did something else nice, my brother and sister. She sent Cinderella a gift. She sent Cinderella a gift, and because she said this is for Cinderella. That's just so nice. I mean, Cinderella didn't add for nothing. I didn't add for nothing, but this lady, she did it. And the only thing I can say, God touched that woman's heart, and she did it. And I can say this too, my brothers and sisters, those of you that make comments during the time I'm talking, I really appreciate it. That you giving to me right now. You are giving to me. God work through you, brothers and sisters, to give something to me, because guess what? I need lifting up too. Not only am I talking at the dinner table, but I need lifting up. And when you, brothers and sisters, when y'all make comments to one another, and when you make comments to me, that lifts me up, because when we're at the dinner table, we family here. So thank you all so much, because you all give your time. You can't replace time, because you all could be doing something else. And I mean, you, brother and sister, I love you. I love you. I love you. That's why I look forward to talking to you all. Some of you be here every night when I be on, and I really appreciate it. And then some of you, y'all come in when y'all can, and I really appreciate it. I do not take this for granted. I really do not. I love you, brothers. I love you, sister. Thank you all so much for coming to the dinner table with me, okay? And I hope that you all have a good night, because I got to get up in the morning and go to work. I work out of time, by the way. Let me tell you, my brother and sister, sometimes currently on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. This is what my work hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, so I can tell you all what's going on. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, my work hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, my work hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's why a lot of time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I might be a little late, okay? I mean, not on Tuesday, Thursday, but Wednesdays and Thursday, I may be a little late, because I get off at 7. I work out of town. Because it take me like an hour to get back to my city, okay? So I want you all to know that. Don't just think I'm just getting on here at different times. I just letting you all know, okay? But thank you all for hanging out with me, okay? You all have a good night, my brother and sister. Peace out.